the church, or even have any part-time disciples joining in with us on YouTube, Facebook, Zoom, and on the conference line this morning. So if you don't mind, let me describe these part-timers so when you leave this online worship experience this morning, you will know who they are. And if you bear with me for about another 10-15 minutes, I will be out of your hair this morning. And when we look at these part-timers, beloved, can I tell you, these part-timers running a pack together. Matter of fact, they are known as the Full family. They're Mr. Prideful, Mr. Spiteful, and Mr. Self-Pitiful. See, Mr. Prideful, alias, his alias or his nickname is the Self-Boaster. See, he reminds me of the story of the Pharisees who went to the temple and boasted of himself. He was not justified in the sight of God, but the sinner who stood afar and beat his breast was God's resist and beat his breast. See, beloved, God resists the proud, but exalt the humble. The Bible says the proud man is filled with thoughts of himself so much that he cannot bend to receive the gifts of God. See, church, don't be so proudful and boastful that the things you have before you lose your blessing. See, we want to talk about all the money we have, how the cars we have, the house we live in. Don't be so proud of all of that stuff, because it is just material things. Like we said in Bible study on Wednesday night, we don't look at the things we can see, but we look upon the things we can't see, because the things we see are only temporary, but the things we can't see are eternal. So, beloved, don't be so proudful and boastful. Beloved, that second part of the Full family is Mr. Spiteful, but he's known as the rebellious one of the family. See, there are some who keep opposing all good and right things because of a rebellious nature. They may be filled with arguments to support their rebellion and are puffed up, having not the Spirit of God. See, beloved, what I want you to realize, such people bring divisions and will perish because of their rebellion. They take things lightly and mock the things of God, and so they look into God's reality, deny themselves, and they look into God's reality. But they never deny themselves and take up their cross. See, beloved, such people will never inherit the promise of God. How many times have you been trying to do right, or put on a church program, or just do anything through this pandemic for the church, and the first thing people tell you, it will not work? I can recall when I got ready to start our drive-in church, some folk came up to me and said it would not work. But others came up to me and said, Pastor, we got to try it because I'm curious about it. Every time you try to do something, someone will give you 1,000 reasons why it won't work. But beloved, I can give you one wide will. If you just keep depending and trusting on God, everything will be all right. Beloved, don't be like Mr. Prideful and be a self-boaster. Beloved, don't be like Mr. Spiteful and be rebellious. And that third person of the Full family is Mr. Self-Pitiful. What we call him, his alias is the negative one of the bunch. Beloved, can I tell you, there are some people who cringe and perish in their own self-pity. They don't have faith, and so they can't rely on God. They keep looking at themselves and pass their days in self-pity. Such people can't follow Christ. See, beloved, can I tell you, Satan attacked Job in many ways. First, he destroyed his wealth